Just a little progress video on the Honda VF750F. Last video I cleaned up, not these cases, well, covers I should say, because I'd already done these, but I was looking at these two over here, the rocker covers, and give them a good clean up. Came out really nice, and I've just spent a little bit of time putting some decals on, well, detail on them I should say. So I've just painted some of the fins each side, which I don't think you're going to be able to see when it's on the bike, but just the Honda racing colours. Well, I know technically it's red and blue, but you've got that kind of little pinstripe in between, and hopefully you can see a little bit of that, but you'll only be able to see this because these are on the very side of the bike, not buried underneath the tank and everywhere on top of the engine. So should be nice. And what I've done today is painted the detail on a week ago or so. What I've done today is I've sprayed them with clear coat, 3 coats a piece, and I'm just waiting for that to dry. So got a little job I want to get on with in the meantime. Just need to tighten this down, and the oil rail that feeds the top of the engine I need to bolt down. So just a very quick job of fitting these banjo bolts really, so nothing too tricky. Each one of them has already got a washer recessed at its seat, and that's the old washer. Just going to reuse same that side. We are a bit white out here, aren't we? Anyway, let me just get a spanner on that. See if we can actually. That's better. We were totally white out there, weren't we? So anyway, yeah. So each one of these has got a washer recessed, and just need to nip those up, and then nip all of these bolts up, and I think that's probably it. I think the other end of that, can't see it, too dark. Where is the other end of that? Right there, can't see it though, too dark. That's already nipped up. So anyway, I'm going to quickly do that. I'm going to wait for these to dry probably over the next couple of days, give a little bit of give a little bit of time to cure. It's going to be quite some time before this engine's back in the bike anyway, I think, so other jobs to get on with too. So anyway, let's get on with that. So this is just a feed that comes off the top of the oil pump that bypasses the oil filter, and then just comes up to the transmission, do the front, through the transmission, and then onto the top of the engine, where it oils all the cams and everywhere. So this is potentially the issue with these engines. I have got a bit of a tick on this engine. It's number 3, so it's 720 degrees rotation of the crank. What I'm noticing is I'm getting a small little click, so I'm not sure if I've got some issues with the valve springs, possibly, don't know. Hoping it might just settle down and go away. That should do it, I think. Probably should have just replaced both of those with some brand new washers. Right, back on the rear now. Did that go out of shot? It probably did. Now, I've no idea if there's any actual torque value for these, but I doubt it. What do you reckon? Did I already tighten this one up? No. Okay. That'll do. These little fellas are just 8mm. A few videos back, if you remember, I thought this one had sheared off because I couldn't get the bolt in. Just turned out it needed cleaning out, blowing out with an airline. Anyway, all good. Let me just nip these up. Might be a bit noisy in here because I've got my garage door open. Try and do them somewhat evenly. I don't think it really matters. I did fit new gaskets to the bottom of these, didn't I? I can't remember if I made them, but I think I actually make them out of you know, not gaskets, O-rings, but out of O-ring cordage. I think that's what you call it. Get any weeping, I can nip them up again, can't I? So just keep an eye on everything. You think you're not doing things up tight enough, but when you typically get bolts this size, they're usually about 10 to 14 Newton meters. If I was to put a torque wrench on this, I'm almost certainly over that already. So okay. Right, happy with that. Just going to crack on getting the rest of the bits put back onto this engine so we can call it complete, and might be over a couple of videos still, a few little bits to do, still wait for all these covers to dry off, of course. So anyway, let's get on with it. Okay, I've got these water crossover pipes which I've got to clean and paint before I put back on. Forgot about that, as in, I didn't forget, I just forgot that I've got to wait for these to completely dry first. Otherwise, I'm going to get all sorts of nasty sanding dust over them, which I don't want. Right, well, I've moved all that stuff over onto the other bench and cleared myself a space, so we can go ahead and give these a bit of a clean up and a paint. And that is definitely the front one because I've marked it. Same there. Anyway, fit across here, of course. You can see the two little ports there. Same on this side, one there, it's in the dark, one over there. Just have to remember which way they go on, I think. I can figure that out when I put them back on. I'll need to dig some O-rings out. I think I've already found some O-rings in my set that will go on there. These are completely squared off. Look at that. All rusty. Completely square. Anyway, I'll find 4 more of those, I think. Not, I don't think they even came in the sort of engine rebuild kit I bought, as is often the way. You get a ton of stuff, never clear what most of it is, apart from the obvious case gaskets and things. So anyway, let's start cleaning these. Well, they're all clean now, as in cleaned off all the old horrible paint, so just going to get some fresh paint on them, and cleaned up the bolt heads. If you've been watching the series, you'll know this old engine was slathered in paint. You couldn't even get a socket on them or a spanner. Just pulled out my O-ring set, which rarely gets used, to be fair, and these look like a good match. I've ID and OD'd them against the pipe and the bore on the engine, and I think we're good to go. A little bit of rubber grease will get them in there nicely. Blimey, it's looking dusty already, isn't it? Right, we're a few hours later now. I've spray painted these parts up. They're the water crossover pipes that go into the heads. So I use VHT paint. They're not going to get that hot. They're carrying water, of course, but they do go into the heads. So just wanted to use something a little bit, you know, temperature resistant. I guess regular paint could have suffered to a degree, so this might be overkill, but it's better than regular temperature, I reckon, anyway. So nice colour as well. It was silver, or it is silver. I thought it was just going to come out a bit of a murky grey, but I'm quite pleased with that. Bit of a contrast to the cylinder heads, and a lot better than they were. I just need to find a good way of installing these, because they were really difficult to get out, and I had to improvise a little puller because you couldn't really get your hands in there to give them a pull, because there really wasn't room to get your hands in. You could only get fingers in, wasn't enough pull. So yeah, improvised a puller. Putting them back might have a similar issue once I've put the new O-rings on. I might just have to make some kind of little extension, sort of fork type arrangement that can sit over it, and I can get on the other end with a hammer maybe and wallop them in. I'm sure it won't be difficult. Bit of fresh grease around the new rubbers, the O-rings I should say, the rubber O-rings, and I'm sure they'll slide in. Oh, that's I'm going to need to reshape that. Oh dear. I was gripping it with some vice grips to hold it while I was painting it. I think I squashed it. Okay. Can you see? Yeah. Well, I can push that back into shape. I mean, it's the O-ring that makes the difference, really, isn't it? So you can see where I've cleaned all the rust off. They were very corroded on the ends, so I dare say it's the ends of these aren't really making any seal anyway. It is down to the O-ring. So I've measured the new O-rings carefully. I'm pretty sure the ID and the OD are bigger than the old ones, so they should do just fine. I'm just going to fit them in without the O-rings, just so they drop in nice and easily, and just to see what they look like. Right, anyway, little sense in me cleaning out all that sort of surface rust in there, because to be honest, it's all going to be throughout all the channels, and you know, you're only going to be clearing out what you can see rather than anything useful. Let's drop this one in. Like I said, it's got no O-ring on it at the moment. We'll pop the one in that side as well, and then we'll take a look. Came out really well, I think. Despite them being very loose in the bore, they are a very tight fit. So they're not going to be easy like that when I put the O-rings on. In fact, I think I'm going to be fighting them in. Anyway, I think that looks really nice. I was worried they're going to come out a little bit kind of like battleship grey, you know, a bit rubbish looking, like a boiler room pipe or something like that, but I'm quite happy with that. They do look very much more silver than I hoped. I thought they weren't going to come out like this, so I had little expectations of them looking good, and thought maybe I'd need to go back over them with black or something, but I did want a bit of a contrast. Obviously they're not chrome. You can get chrome paints, but from what I can tell, chrome paints tend to look like this, so didn't bother. Anyway, let's take those back out again. And another thing, when I painted these cylinder heads, well, the whole engine block, all the cases, I covered up every single little bolt hole, and I still keep finding little bits of tape that I haven't removed yet, which I missed. That was just for the retaining clip there. So new O-ring, looks about the right size. O-rings, I should say. Anyway, let me just see if I can slip them over. I'm not going to pre-grease them or anything like that, because it's probably impossible to get on then. And they look there or thereabouts the right size in comparison to what I took off, and measuring them against the inside diameter over on the cylinder head and the OD of this pipe. I need to straighten that out, don't I? I don't think it matters too much, because it's the O-ring doing all the work, but you know, that's never going to, even if that was perfectly round, that would never make any kind of seal. So let me see if I can straighten it out. Well, there you go. just using the end of a long, what is a 10mm socket. Yeah, that's good. It's obviously very soft, it's just mild steel, which is pretty ridiculous when you think it's got water going through it. Anyway, I think that did it. Okay. Right. Do I have expectations of any of this paint holding up? Not really. Hopefully they'll stay watertight, and hopefully the engine will run okay. Do I have expectations of that? Not really. Right, I'm going to put a little bit of red rubber grease into the hole there. Probably should be using multi-purpose grease. I hate this stuff. Horrible stuff. Can't even see what I'm doing that side. And actually what I might do is just put a little bit around the part itself. Okay. And then what we'll try and do is evenly seat it. We'll know it's seated when the pipe is essentially sat right against the cylinder head there. Ooh, no, I think that went in. Don't know if that's all the way. Still a tiny gap there, which there shouldn't be, so let's just keep wiggling it a little bit, but that's nearly there. Wasn't as much of a fight as I thought, although I've not completed the task yet. Finagle it in. Let's get a little block of wood on it. I'm trying to avoid knocking it because clearly, you know, I could be hurting the paint. Let's just use a rubber mallet to start, I think, actually. That's the problem, getting the swing. Well, actually, do you know what? When you tilt it slightly, it sits right against it, so I think that's as far as it's going to go. I'll just fit the clip on, which I've not painted, just bare steel. So, I haven't particularly cleaned the threads out on any of these heads, or any part of the engine actually. Don't really like doing that, certainly not with a tap if I can avoid it. I'd rather just let the screws, bolts, whatever find their way back in. Okay, doesn't need to be tight. I think that looks rather good. I'll come around and do the other side. Probably should just use multi-purpose grease. I don't know why I'm using rubber grease. I hate rubber grease. It seems to stick things up more than anything. I don't know why. What's so special about it that makes it the correct use for feeding rubber parts together? I don't know. So I'll just carry on in vain and maybe do some research. Okay. Yeah, maybe this one's going to be a bit tougher. I'm figuring it is going to be a bit tougher. Oh, hang on. Oh, look at that. See, didn't I say that would go in without any resistance? I said it the whole time, didn't I? Let's get the grease off there. That actually went in easier than the first one. I didn't even need to tap that in, did I? But they were a nightmare to get out. Exaggeration, clearly. I just had to make a puller. If you look back over my videos, I've just got like a regular, flea bait puller with lots of different attachments and bits and bobs, and mostly designed to pull bearings actually. And I just made like a hook, and it worked a treat. But you can't get in there to get any kind of force behind any of this to effectively pull that out with your hands. So particularly when they've been wedged, jammed in there for, I don't know, 40 years. So yeah, I thought they were going to be difficult to put back in, but clearly not. Okay, it's again probably just going to go 10 to 14 Newton meters, I would imagine, on this. So nothing really more than just hand tight. It's just a clip. These very small fixings are at risk of snapping. That is that little job done. So starting to look nice. Right, so that kind of brings me to the rocker covers. So I'm pretty confident everything is as it should be there. Now I might just stick a little bit of additional oil around the top. I mean, I did use assembly lube and what have you, but it all seems to have just vanished. I suspect you need to get it on there and get everything buttoned up before it all starts to go dry again. Anyway, everything is all torqued up as it should be. I'm confident that I can close the lid on this now. Just need to put some brake clean around the surface just to clean any grease, oil or whatever off there. And all of these, I mean, this is only a rocker cover obviously, but all of these surfaces everywhere are not great. I haven't gone to lengths of getting things machined or anything like that. It's particularly difficult on a V-block anyway. And the major problem I had with this engine, which is why it had a strip down, is because the number 2 cylinder had low compression. Not desperately low, it was about 148 psi, which is, you know, reasonable. The other three were in the high 160s, so that indicated that there was perhaps a head gasket issue, and I had water in the crankcase, white smoke coming out of the exhaust, so that says water's getting through the jacket into the cylinder, into the crankcase. Aside from there being a crack in the block or something like that, it's going to be head gasket, isn't it? So anyway, that's all cleaned up, replaced. These are new cases in actual fact, and the heads are the originals, so hoping that's all okay. But let me get some brake cleaner on the surface of this so we can prep this for getting the rocker cover on the front bank back on. So it's been enjoyable doing this. It has been enjoyable, but at the same time, bloody hard work. And you know, it can still, if it runs like a pig when I've finished it, and the carburetors, they're going to need doing, setting up. I've had an attempt at cleaning them and making them okay, but I know nothing about carburetors. Well, I do, yeah, that's not true. I certainly don't profess to be any good at dealing with them anyway, so can't really get in there, but there you go. time I finish doing this rebuild, it's going to have a good old cup full of regular engine oil in there that's not specifically for motorbikes, but there you go. Okay, doesn't matter which one goes on the front and which one goes on the back, as long as you get them facing the right way. And by that I mean these little tabs need to face down on the front, well, just towards the front on each block really. So what we'll do, if we turn this one over, you can see that's what they started off like. Well, no, they didn't actually. They started off red because of all the horrible paint that was on them. Anyway, let's get the gasket and pop that in. I have cleaned out all these channels with a little screwdriver. So let's get anyway, let's get the gasket in there. So I'm not going to use any sealer. If I get any leaks, I can very easily take this off and put a bit of sealer on afterwards, can't I? I might be regretting saying that because I suspect when I turn this over it's going to be tricky to contain itself within the groove, so maybe I should just stick a little bit of blue Hylamar in there or something like that. Let's give that a go. Let's see if that does what it's meant to do without falling out. Not forgetting the fixings, of course, which I've really cleaned up well. Oh, these were all slathered. Again, go back on the playlist and you'll see me cleaning all of these things up. Absolutely shocking amount of paint. You couldn't even get an Allen key in there to get them out. I had to kind of hammer the Allen keys in and try and dig the paint out. It was slathered in horrible red paint, stank like wood gloss. So these took some cleaning up. Anyway, I'm going to put them all back together. It's the that goes. No, hang on a minute. Yeah, washer goes straight on there. I'm not entirely sure why that needs a washer, but there you go. Probably because of the material differences. That's how it goes back together anyway. That's it. Okay. Yeah, this probably will just fall. Well, maybe I don't know. It's got a little ridge on the. It has got a little ridge on the gasket, so hopefully that won't fall off. But I'm thinking. I probably should put a little bit of sealant in there just to hold it. Just some blue Hylamar. Let's give it a go. Anyway, any trouble, I can always. Well, it's in place. You can see all the way round. The gasket is seated, so let's just stick one of these in on the top, and I should have put them all together, shouldn't I, to make it easier. Rookie error. Let's just put the next one together, and if we pop that in the other corner, and this is a 6mm Allen and I'm just going to look up the torque spec. I've got a funny feeling it's got some sort of ridiculously high torque spec on it. Let me get all four of those in without doing them up. No, I was just looking that up. It's just 8 to 10 Newton meters, which means seat them Give them a little twist and you're done. Must have been thinking of something else. Trouble is, because of the rubbers, you could go forever with these and still be tightening them up, so it's just a cover at the end of the day. Probably already well over talked there. Just goes to show though, when you do it in a sort of a crisscross pattern, and then one that you just tightened up becomes very loose. There you go, that'll do. That was the front. It's just those little tabs there that just need to be facing down. Can't see that it makes any difference. They look fairly symmetrical either way round. So anyway, just yeah, hoping from one side or the other, front or rear, you might be able to see some of the little colours. Just a little bit of Honda racing colour detail, sort of red and blue with a little white band between. Thinking it's looking rather nice. Looks a bit French, but never mind. Okay, let's do the rear. Must remember to clean up the surface. Okay, just using brake cleaner. It's not actually that important for this, to be fair. The guard, the actual cover itself is not much more than a splash guard. It's yeah, it needs to be sealed and seated, but it's not like a cylinder head, or if you're putting the two halves of the crankcase together where it needs to be perfectly sealed. Oil might leak out. It's very unlikely to leak out of there. Right, oddly, I only had 2 of those little washers. Sorry, no, lie. 4 of those little washers, and it's not slotting in there very securely. And I'm wondering if it came off with 2 on the front, 2 on the back. Oh God, it's bloody hopeless. Just going to put a little bit of Hylamar blue round the groove to see if we can hold the thing in. And yeah, so there was only 4 of those little washers, and I'm kind of wondering from memory if there was meant to be like 2 on each side, and for a particular reason not on both bolts. I don't know. What I'll do with this is get some in the groove, and then spread it around with a little screwdriver. It never dries, so it's quite good stuff. The other weird thing is, I'll show you when I've got it in, this is not entirely symmetrical. I think that's going to hold it nicely though. Let me show you once I've got it in what I mean. Unless you can spot it before I mention it. Yeah, I'll tell you what though, I think that's going to hold it nicely. Although that doesn't feel like it's going in properly. I wonder if that should go the other way. Maybe I had the other one on coincidentally the correct way round. Yeah, do you know what? Swapping that around like that seems to sit perfectly. Doing it the other way round, it's 180 degrees the other way. It was almost like it was just too big, so it must have had made a tight spot on a loose spot or whatever, you know. But you've got that little tab there, so if that does need to go on a specific side, there's certainly nothing that tells you. Nothing that indicates that. Anyway, I'm going to need to give these a bit of a clean up, aren't I? Okay. Right, so anyway, this one's going on with without any washers under the screw caps. Tabs facing forward then, so technically they're facing up, but anyway, they're facing, everything faces forward. So let's pop these in. Shouldn't think those missing little washers are making any difference. I just wonder if they served a specific purpose on maybe one side or the other of the rocker. Don't know. Can't imagine it's going to make a lot of difference anyway, so not too worried about that. I shall maybe look that up. Probably some sort of shim for some reason, who knows. Could be they suddenly decided the way the bolt holes were bored or something like that, that the bolts were too long and it was easier to shim everything than do two different bolts. Don't know. Either way. If it presents a problem, we can solve it when it does so. I think I've mentioned this before. Weirdly, you get 3 of these in the set. Don't know why. I don't think there's an engine block out there that would have 3 banks. It's just weird. Anyway, very strange. Yeah, it's not that they just put an extra one in there by accident. The images for the advert showed 3. Strangely, I just assumed it would turn up with 2, but no. I've got a spare. Maybe that's why. He's just a bit weird. Right, that's all looking good. I've wiped away any excess gloop around the she was on the rear one, wasn't it? Around the actual cover. That's the one I used the Hylamar blue on, and just used a bit of acetone, but be careful of any paint or clear coat or anything like that. But I think that's starting to come along really nicely compared to when I pulled the thing apart anyway. Well, I think I'm going to leave it at that for this particular video, and in the next on this engine I'm going to get the stator cover and clutch cover fitted, along with a few other bits like the starter motor, oil filter, rear exhaust downpipes, heat shield. I've got to source some fixings for that, as I had to hit them with a welder to get them out. And I'm also going to do a video which might be in between on my phaser, because I need to do a chain and sprockets change and brake pads to get her through the MOT. So until then, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, hit the bell to get alerted for new uploads, and I'll see you next time.